Welcome to Unicorn. We're talking about all things independent comics, specifically the greatest superhero comic book in the universe, Robert Kirkman's Invincible. I'm Mikey.
I'm Seamus.
I missed that intro. I haven't used that intro in like years.
I was gonna say you haven't used it since Students of Shield.
Since Suits of Shield, man. But I still got it, baby. I still got it.
Yeah. You haven't used it since you left the agency.
Since I left the agency, exactly. But yeah, people, so we're back at it again with a brand new episode of the I've been calling it like Invincible Continue, so it's like kind of like a continuation of the stuff from Suits of Shield. But I put up as like a bonus episode, like how we used to do bonus episodes and stuff on that podcast. But yeah, people, it's another continued Invincible bonus episode type video where we're gonna be doing a full non-spoiler then spoiler review of Invincible Season 3, the new season that debuted on Amazon Prime about a month ago, and it just ended like last week. And yeah, people, come on, it's Invincible. If you've been following us in Suits of Shield, you know that like we're huge Invincible fans. So we were gonna do a review at some point because we didn't review the last season. So I felt like we had to do one for this season, especially because all the nitty-gritty stuff, all the goodies are in this season. So
yeah, a lot of the fun stuff that we had been hyping up since the adaptation got announced was all this season. So.
Like, I don't know about you, but like, isn't it weird for you that like, because you know me and you we read the whole series, so like we know what's coming, but I could just imagine like how it feels for like someone who's like fresh into Invincible, like who's never read the comic. Like this is probably like mind blowing for them, you know?
I wish I could like erase my memory of the comic while I'm watching it, so that way I could be surprised again. But I think the mark of a bit of an adaptation this is that sometimes it does feel like I'm viewing it for the first time, even though I know exactly what happens, you know. And I think they throw enough. So far, the adaptation's thrown enough new little, you know, add-ons to it to make it feel different, which I enjoy. And like,
they gotta spice up a little bit.
Yeah, and from what they've talked about with season 4, they're adding, you know, that whole new Damian Darkblood plot line that wasn't in the comics, so that's going to be new for me.
Yeah, it wasn't in the comics. But we'll get into that stuff. But just real quick, just for the people again, because we're gonna do just start with non-spoilers first, overall thoughts, and then spoilers. But yeah, Seamus, give your overall thoughts of Invincible season 3. Just try to non-spoiler if you will.
I think it's really, really good. It's not a season that's going to turn you if you already didn't like the show. It's just more of Invincible. It's still good. It's still fun. It's still got a lot of shit going on. This season, more than most, felt like it was a very big in-between season where not a lot of the plot lines didn't really progress too much. It was more of just, hey, a lot of stuff's changing, a lot of stuff's going on in Mark's life that's going to lead to the bigger arcs and the bigger changes. You know what I mean? Because like we talk about Invincible War and the final arc of the season, and we hype it up because we've read the whole thing and we know where it goes. And in the grand scheme of things, it's really more impactful and more interesting than it seems on the surface. But when you watch it here, you're just like, oh, that was a fun, 2-episode finale they did. And I think that's true for most of the season, is that a lot of the stuff you're going to see, you're going to walk away with going like, oh, that was fun, that was good. But you're not really going to understand where it fits into the larger narrative, like the last 2 seasons, where the last 2 seasons felt like they were more like, here's the overarching plot, and it's going to end with a plot point that, bookends like an act in the overarching plot. Whereas this feels more like a little transitory setup period. You know what I mean? Where it's like Act 2.5, where it's like, oh, this stuff's going on, but we're not really going to get back to the Viltrumite stuff or any of the crazy stuff until the end of the season, which is like the big, finale. But I think it's good. I think it's solid. The gripes about the animation, I think, are a little stupid because
it's really I think it's very unfair. you know.
I think it comes from people who just don't understand how animation works.
Yeah.
And I think it's fine. Like, do I wish it looked a little better? Sure, but it gets the job done fine enough when it needs to, and it looks really fucking cool when it needs to. So like, that's fine. You know, or like everyone was bitching about the animation until the final episode, and then they were like, "Whoa, that's where they were saving it." It's like, yeah. They were spending. Who would have guessed they spent most of their time on the big finale everyone was hyped about, instead of like the random like conversation scene with like Mark and Adam Eve on the rooftop, like.
Yeah. Like,
you know,
like it's kind of annoying because I actually saw a post from someone being like, oh, like, why does animation look so cheap? And then an animator that was on the production team on Invincible literally was like, bro, like, stop being an asshole. Like, you don't know, you clearly sound like you don't know how animation works or how animation budgets work, and what you're saying is very disrespectful and disingenuous to the animators that put the time and the effort to make a season of an animation show, which takes a long time and it takes a huge amount of effort and a big team. So, but yeah, it's just like, because people are just so used to anime and the way anime in Japan is like the quality of, like, you know, the way they do action and just, you know, regular set pieces. But people don't forget that, like, animation in the East is like way more taxing and time consuming in terms of like the work ethic and, you know, the working environment than Western animation is. So like yeah, and I mean, not to say it doesn't happen in the United States or in like more Western productions, but
of course,
in anime, like, it is widely well known that they go through horrific conditions to get that shit to look like that, you know? And like, by all accounts, it sounds like Invincible's production's going pretty smoothly, you know? And I'd rather a production go smoothly with all of its workers taken care of than all of them slaving away to make like a Rex-Splode, like a dick joke, look a little more like Studio Ghibli. It's like, you don't really need it to look that good for those scenes. It's just
exactly,
the scenes,
man.
Like the Conquest fight that count, you know? So like, I think the animation is fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's good when it needs to be good, and that's all I need.
Yeah, same. I agree.
Yeah,
like, it's fine. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's say like it's fine.
Expert.
Yeah, Mr. Animation. Yeah, it's fine, and they use you can when it's just dialogue or something like that, like they use their time to like save as much money and time as they can to work on the scene, even though they do so on substantial scenes, like, you know, with the Adam Eve and Mark stuff. But like when the animation hits, like especially when it needs to hit, it delivers, bro. Like we'll talk more about the fight, but like just like people like animation, like, you know, like budgets. That's just how budgets work, man. It's just
it's budgets and time. You know, they only have the level of time to get this stuff done, and it's like, yeah, I'd rather you spend more time on the stuff that I actually am excited for than time on stuff that I don't care about too much.
Yeah.
So
like let Invincible let the team cook the way they want to cook. Like they kind of no animated productions can't all be Arcane, but yeah, Arcane, they took time to cook. So.
Arcane took like a grand total of almost a decade of work to make it look like that for only like the same amount of episodes that Invincible has out right now. So like, maybe let's just let them get the shit out. Like, exactly. If you don't like it, stop watching. Go read the comic if you don't like the animation that much.
Exactly, and then you realize, oh wait, we're only like a quarter of the story. Oop, oh well, and then like y'all don't know, But yeah, so my thoughts, just real quick, I think this season was great. Granted, yeah, I do agree with Seamus where it's like it's kind of like a transitional, you know, period. Again, they not really a whole arc, but like, you know, because they were missing, you know, some of the Viltrumite stuff, especially like towards the end, and like, you know, not focusing on some other stuff that happened in the last season or two. But it's still good. Like, again, they do a lot of the I feel like this was one of the more like emotional heavy ones of the season for me, I think, in terms of, you know, where Mark goes through as a character in terms of like his family, his relationships, you know, what, especially like his morality as a hero, how that is kind of tested here. And I think I was talking to my cousin, because my cousin was like, when the season started, he was saying, like, I don't really like, you know, I'm not really liking Invincible that much. Like I'm not really, like, I forgot his reason behind it, but like he said, like
And I'm not really getting. I think I'm not really getting. I think Mark's wrong here. And it's like, yeah, and I was telling him like, listen, like, yeah, like Mark is learning, and especially like through, like, you know, his dispute with, you know, Cecil, which we'll get into, that like he's gonna learn that like everything is not black and white. Like he's still in like his naivete, like, you know, immature, like teen superhero period. So he's towards the end of that. So now, but this season I love how it's like he's gonna learn more of like how things aren't always just black and white, good and evil. There's always a bit of gray in between, and he has to learn through that, which I loved. So,
and I like how they made it like both Mark and Cecil are right to a degree. It's just Cecil is more realistic, and Mark is a little less so. You know what I mean? Because I can understand mad that that Cecil's already using Sinclair. And it's like well, he's working for us to save the world, and it's like, okay, but that dude did hurt a lot of people, and he kind of did get a little rewarded with it by working for the government. You know what I mean? And I think it's just cool and interesting to see both of them clash in a way that it makes sense. Yeah. That they both, you know what I mean? Like they both have a strong viewpoint that is reasonable somewhat. It's just that Mark, you know, looking at the wider picture, Mark is a little less so. But like, it's still admirable that he's like, yeah, I that's what I believe in, and I'm gonna, you know, stand up for that. So I like that. I know some people were bitching about Mark's being like all like, no, we have to send him, you know, all that shit, and I was like, it's admirable. Come on, like he's just trying to be a superhero. He's only like less than a year into it, and he's already had to fucking fight his dad. Like, let's let him try to have some hope instead of killing what little of it he has left.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, it's a good starting point that really makes the first 3 episodes kind of reel you in very easily. Because when I remember when those first 3 episodes dropped, they felt like they went by so quick. And it was really nice to have those 3 come out at the same time, rather than, you know, having because I think waiting week to week, as good as it would have been a little annoying for me, because I'd be like, whoa, those went by so quick. I just want the next one for that. So I think doing those grouping together made it really made it flow really well, and made the rest of the season kind of go at a very nice pace. And I felt like that this season was very well paced in terms of at least each episode feeling like it was like you're getting enough while also not being dragged along sometimes, you know.
Yeah, there wasn't really any like fillerish type of moments either. Like well, maybe one, but like
I was gonna say there's a couple that were like more. There was a couple that weren't filler in the comic because they were specifically addressing a specific comic trope, but felt like filler in this show because this show, it's a difference with the show at large. This show doesn't really, it plays everything straight, whereas in the comics it kind of would give you an arc where it's kind of a joke playing on a comic trope that you know, or a story that you know. You know what I mean? Like in the comics, it would do something silly, like I'll say Invincible War, for example, is kind of like a play on event comics. You know what I mean? It's a big trope that when it happens in the comics, you're like, oh, we're doing like an event comic, and it's kind of tongue in cheek, whatever. But in here, it's played like 100% straight. You know what I mean? And I think that little difference makes some of these arcs hit differently, and sometimes not as effectively, like the when he goes to the future to fight a mortal, you know what I mean? And when he is working for the prison and stuff like that, that stuff is like, you know, a little comic tropey that they kind of lean more into in the comics, but here they just kind of play it straight, and you end up going like, oh, what was that? So I think those are the only parts that not necessarily were fillery, but just didn't really hit correctly, I think, as it did in the comic.
Okay, I got you. But I mean, before we move on to the spoiler stuff, yeah, well, I mean, reason why I love this season a lot, because I mean, it covers some of my favorite events in Invincible ever. I was waiting, and it's like when the show dropped, I was waiting for them to do this shit for that was So we've been waiting. I think we always talk about it. Like every time, like we talk about the show or whatever. We're just like, yeah, we're waiting for we were waiting for this day for a minute, So yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah. So I guess we'll move on to the spoiler portion. So again, if you've not watched Invincible season 3, we recommend leave. Just leave, come back. We'll leave. Watch the season, come back. And then we will, then you hear us get more in depth in the season 3 Invincible. Also, there's also spoilers for the comic too, because again, we've read the comic, so we will spill out of comic book.
Yeah. It's because it's kind of hard. Like I said earlier, kind of hard to discuss this season without discussing the broader context of it in the comic, because it is a lot of stuff that very directly leads to important comic moments. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we've given you our thoughts on what we think the season is. Go watch it. Go read the comic and then come back and be like, okay, now I can hear them talk about where Conquest goes and if he gets drafted to the Lakers.
My gosh. All right, people.
Conquest and LeBron, 2-man.
Conquest and LeBron, 2-man. Crazy. Oh man. So yeah, people. So I'll play the little.
Yeah, play the right to censor theme.
The right to censor theme. All right. So spoilers in 3, 2, 1. All right, spoilers, people. So now we're in spoiler territory. So, Seamus, you wanna? Cause again, it was hard for me to figure out what I disliked. But you said you had some gripes. So yeah, what are some more? You want to go more depth on some of the stuff you disliked with season 3?
That like the pacing stuff I was talking about earlier really hits with like the immortal arc where Mark has to go in the future and he finds out that he's like an emperor that then killed or put immortal in charge of like running Earth or whatever. And I think that doesn't work as effectively because it's trying to signal to you about Invincible War. You know what I mean? By being like, oh, Mark's usually evil in a lot of cases or whatever. And you're like, whoa, but that's not even in other timelines. Mark's evil, but except this one. And I think it didn't hit as hard because you already got that when they were doing that Angstrom Levy backstory. You know what I mean? And Mark was working with Omni-Man, and he was like, don't forget, guys, I'm invincible, And I felt like that's why we didn't need that. And I think if they wanted to really do that in this, instead, make it so that way Mark, like, is in the future and Immortal's ruling Earth, and he's like, Mark, you didn't put me in charge, Robot did. You know what I mean? And then have a tease for that arc. So that way you can be like, oh, Robot put him in charge. Why is Robot like God Emperor now?
Exactly.
And I think that shit would be far more interesting and a better setup for the future than like setting up something that we kind of already know is true and is going to happen imminently within like 5 or like I think it was like 2 or 3 episodes at that point. But that was the only episode that I felt very with, and I also feel like because of some of the different changes they've made, it made Mark and Eve's relationship, at least in the first, like, for the majority of the season, feel just like very oddly unearned, because the only time you actually get to see them interact in any kind of way non-professionally is like when Mark sees future Eve, who's like, hey, I love you, by the way, and you're like, and I feel like it was like in the comics, I felt like we got more time with them, like actually being friends and, getting to know each other and shit.
Yeah.
It felt a little more organic.
Yeah, that's one thing. Now I actually have a thing I disliked. One thing I would say that like I was like bothered with was that I feel like we had way more time in the comics for them to like, naturally like, develop the relationship. Here it felt really rushed,
Yeah, right. It just felt like, oh, this has to happen in the comics right now, so we have to do it right now. Instead of maybe letting this season, because you're allowed to change stuff from the comics, and if they already changed so much from the first 2 seasons, why not at least just allow this change to be like, have them get together at the end after the Conquest fight and realize that realize during the Conquest fight or something, or during Invincible War, that they do have this deep, profound love for each other, and then when it's instantly, put in jeopardy, that's when, they both fucking lock in and go, wait, I would die for this person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that way it's just a little more interesting, rather than them getting together, kind of spinning their wheels for like the majority of the season, going like, sitting on the back of that fucking roof that they kept doing every episode, going, wow, shit's tough, and then moving on. It's nothing. And that's the thing. It's not nothing that derails the season. Nothing that really like is bad. Even it's just stuff that I'm like, little things that I'm like, if you just change that a little bit, the season would have been that much cleaner and that much more interesting. But it's relatively nitpicks that I'm giving out here. It's just little shit that, if I'm trying to think of criticisms I would give this season, I would probably say those two are the biggest offenders. Which, if those are the biggest offenders, then you've got a pretty good and solid show on your hands.
Yeah, true. But yeah, man, I don't really got anything else. Like, I kind of want to just get into like the notable moments.
No, I'm good. I would love to talk more about how much I love this fucking show.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So okay, we'll just go on to the notable moments section, and yeah, this one was where I will bring up the slide for. So obviously, people if you even realize from the posters or anything like that, one of my favorite moments because it's probably one of this show, because this season of this arc of this of the comics, one of my favorite arcs of the comic. But we got to see Mark in some all new digs this season. I got a new costume change, where we are introduced to the all new, all awesome Invincible. And literally, as an Invincible fan, I was like, "Yay, Dark Mark, Invincible, let's go!" Yeah. I thought they translated his costume very well. That was dope.
Yeah, it looked really cool. It isn't my favorite, and I know we've had discussions on this about how everyone loves it. I just think that the classic yellow and blue, it just looks so good, and it's just what I remember as a kid. Yeah. But people like it, but people do like to talk like this blue and black is like the thing, and I'm always like, it's not. It's really not. Let's be real. Because listen, when he puts on the original costume again in like 2 seasons.
Oh, it's great.
You know what I mean? Everyone's gonna be like, holy shit, we're back.
Yeah, and that's what it felt like when you read the comic. When you read Invincible Returns, like number 0, and you're just like, you see that huge splash page of him flying in the black and the yellow and blue, and you're like, yeah, we're fucking back, baby.
Yeah, it also works because, like I said, there's a lot of buildup going on, and right now it's not understandable where it's going. But like when you see where it's going, then the stuff retroactively becomes more interesting. So like Mark changing his costume right now, you're kind of like, I don't know why he did that. And then in like a season or 2, once they start doing stuff like the Dinosaurus arc and shit like that, then you're going to start seeing like, oh, that's why. Oh, that's where they're going with this. Oh, that's what this means. That's the trope they're doing. And then by the time he goes back to his original costume, it feels like, you're coming home. You're like, you got a tear in your eye going like, he's back. We finally got real Invincible back.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I personally just like it as like a story, the way Robert Kirkman does it as like a narrative device, where it's like, he's playing on that trope of like when a superhero gets a little darker, gets a little edgier.
Yeah,
like, pretty much
it's
like Peter
Mark's black suit costume,
It
is. It's like he's wearing his Venom suit, the symbiote, he's got it on, except the symbiote's just him being more of a dick.
Yeah, just him being more of a dick. And him his morality being in turmoil because he's like, I don't know what's good or bad anymore. I'm confused. I like it. I think it works. I thought they did a good job, translating that. Again, it's more set up for what you said, more set up for later. So people won't get it now, but they'll get it eventually. So I guess we're good on that. Yeah, moving on to the next notable moment here is again more so what we talked about briefly, but yeah, Invincible versus Cecil. I thought this part was great because again because I haven't touched the comic in a while, so I forgot that this happened. But the fact that like Invincible and Cecil pretty much split ties due to like what they believe doing the right thing is. Again, like I agree with you said, James. Like they both are right to a degree, but like honestly, like if I'm being honest with you, I was more like Cecil's camp, where it's like Cecil's kind of right here, or like he has to.
I think it's a very interesting. It's less of like who's right and more of just like these because I like the way that Kirkman, whether or not he intended for this to be true, kind of framed it as more of like a comic book world versus a real world. Like Cecil is very much not a comic book character. He's like a real world dude who's trying to do his best to protect the Earth against like these fucking freakish alien gods who just come down and are able to like level cities. You know what I mean? And so that in a real world is very understandable. But Mark is a full comic book character who's like, you cannot work with these villains. You cannot use these guys like, skill sets because their skill sets are rooted in evil. You know what I mean? And I think Cecil is definitely more understandable. But like, I just inherently side with Mark because like it is true a little bit that Cecil does just kind of like instantly use anything at his disposal to protect the Earth. And I'm like, you know who else like would use anything at their disposal to protect the Earth is like fucking Doctor Doom. So like, and we literally get that later because
100%.
Cecil's right, but like eventually later, when the robot arc happens, it's like literally his comeuppance. It's literally his downfall. The fact that he would use anything and everything at his disposal, but he's so, you know what I mean? He doesn't think that anything could happen to him at a point. You're like,
yeah, no, I agree, yeah, and to that extent, yeah, like that arc with Robot is a shining example. It was like, yeah, maybe, like, yeah, like this is all of your sins coming back to haunt you in a way, and it's I think that works very well. But yeah, no, I loved, Mark, seeing D.A. Sinclair and seeing and discovering, the bots that he was making, and the fact that he saw Darkwing, who he just arrested, rescuing them from, Doc Seismic. I thought that was all. Like that shock of like what Cecil.
And it is a level of like it is a level of fucked up that Cecil doesn't even let these guys like serve their sentences or even try to rehabilitate him. He instantly was like, "Well, let's make my own Suicide Squad." And it's like, how many times does a Suicide Squad succeed, dude? Like,
yeah, it's true.
Like, let's be fucking for real. And that's why everyone who's saying Cecil is right is an idiot. Everyone who's saying Cecil is understandable. You know what I mean? Like, you saying, I'm kind of in Cecil's camp. Yeah. Everyone should be kind of in Cecil's camp. Yeah. Because when you see a fucking Viltrumite, you should go, holy shit. Yeah. We got to be using everything at these guys. Holy shit.
It's Gary Oldman in Leon the Professional. Everyone! Everybody!
And Mark's right, too, because it's like, yeah, on a level, Cecil doesn't trust Mark even after everything he did, which is somewhat understandable, but also, like, this kid is fucking already given you so much to defend.
So much already, like,
and you still don't want to fucking like trust him because you're scared of his dad. He fucking threw hands with his dad and almost won. Like, this kid is trying to do his best,
nearly
and
died for
antagonizing him.
Yeah, he's literally he's thrown on with his dad. His dad nearly killed him for to save the world. Literally, ever since then, he's been working for him and sacrificing his own personal life to be on your beck and call. Like, what more else could he prove? I just thought that was very interesting. And yeah, but the thing is, like, it was just a really good confrontation between the two of them. Who do you think?
Right. It's a great it is a great thematic and confrontational storyline to occur in the first 3 episodes, and it's like all you kind of get this season with that kind of stuff, because the rest of the season is more just like shit just happens. You know what I mean? And I think in previous seasons, this kind of thing would be like the entire season long arc. But in this, it's kind of done in the first 3 episodes, and then you get like 2 or 3 like Monster of the Week episodes where he's like, oh, now I'm fighting Immortal. Now I'm fighting the fucking dragon they teased at the end of that one arc in season 1. And then like all that other shit, and then Invincible War and Conquest fight, and then it ends, Yeah. But and like I said, all that stuff leads to other things, but this really was like the stuff in this season that I was the most impressed with them handling.
Yeah, of course. And also we got some we got an episode of in the beginning of Cecil's origin of like pseudo origin, where like how he got his scars and like how he kind of developed his sense of his sense of justice and morality within protecting the world. I thought that was really a nice touch to add, to be like, yeah, like this moment is why Cecil acts the way he acts, and is why he has this sense of morality, protect the world at all costs. I thought that was a really good detail to add. And did we ever get his origin in the comic, or maybe probably in a side comic? I don't really remember.
This was adapted, I think, from a side comic. I forget if it was Guardians of the Globe or something like that. Yeah, I think it might have been adapted as like a backup from that or something.
But yeah, I got nothing else to say, man. I loved it. And I love how like Mark literally like this moment where Mark holds him by his neck and is like, I will fucking kill you if you come near me and my family. I love that.
It's like, and that's the part where you're like, Mark, you are not helping your case by doing.
You're not helping your case at all, man. You're kind of proving him right a little bit.
I understand Cecil is a dick and should trust you more, but you don't get him to trust you more by holding him by his throat and promising him that you will do everything that he's scared of doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and that's a Mark. Come on.
And again, like going just to this final thought here of like with you saying that Cecil still doesn't trust him because of his dad. Yeah, Cecil literally put a freaking, I forgot about that. He put literally like a sonic device in his head, like without him knowing, because obviously he would, as a safety precaution. I was like, that's so Cecil, that's so Nick Fury. Bro, before we move on to the next moment, who do you think got it in a fight? I guess I would say Amanda Waller, Nick Fury, or Cecil.
Nick fucking Fury, dude. That guy's a freak. That guy is like fucking like the no, dude. Listen, Cecil and Amanda Waller got tricks up their sleeve. Nick Fury's like a fucking dude. That guy is like. You read some of the shit he's done, and you're just like, this guy is like he is the deadliest person in any comic I've ever read, and no one talks about the fact that this dude like just went. There was a time where he was more like Cecil and Amanda Waller, and then he fucking went off the rails, and now he's like without any enhancements fighting Fin Fang Foom in World War II. All of a sudden, in that new fucking like Fury vs. Foom series they're doing, and now he's like fucking. And remember during Original Sin where he was the guy who was like taking out like incredibly strong threats by himself, so that way the heroes didn't have to deal with it and shit. So like, I think Nick Fury would wash both of them easily by himself too.
I always forget how strong as fuck like Nick Fury is as a character sometimes. Because
they kind of like left Nick Fury after Original Sin. They kind of left him over there, and then they brought in like Black Nick Fury from the Ultimate Universe, and then they kind of didn't want to use him either. So now there's like no Nick Fury's really getting used anymore. And I was like, I'm always like, they should bring back comics. Dude, they should bring back like crackhead out white Nick Fury, who's like, he looks batshit insane. He just comes out of a portal. He's like, I need you guys to hurry. You guys gotta get the fuck in here. Fuck, something is coming, and that's how you just start a random event. Because I think that'd be really funny.
But yeah, bro. So we don't get too off topic. We gotta move on. But the next thing I wanted to bring up next moment is we got introduced to Oliver. Last season. My boy Oliver. And we finally get to see him. Embrace his powers a little bit and become a superhero himself, even though Mark was very hesitant to, especially Debbie was very hesitant about it. So Oliver became Kid Omni-Man this season. Now that made me very happy because I love Oliver stepping into his own as a character, not just being Mark's alien brother in the comics. He steps into his own kind of as his kind of his Robin a little bit. And I thought Oliver, his arc this season was really interesting. I love the fact that it was kind of Mark, because obviously Oliver's different from the rest because he's an alien, he's an alien, he's purple, and he wanted him to just he just wanted him to be under wraps and just protected, but obviously being him, but this part we have to see Oliver actually be a kid. in all like the best and worst ways. Him, being seeking out of the house, like playing with his friends that like accept him for his differences. I thought was great. Him, wanting to be a superhero like Mark, I thought was great, and getting too naive about, and being too naive and too arrogant about his abilities, especially because he had to learn the hard way, especially when he had to fight Conquest. That was crazy. But also him kind of taking things a little bit too far, especially what he did to the Mauler twins. Jesus Christ, I forgot about that shit. But yeah, man, Oliver did it.
No more run the jewels needle drops, I guess.
Yeah, no more run the jewels needle drops, unfortunately. But I don't know about you, Seamus, but one thing I thought was very interesting was like how, especially with some things like with Oliver taking things too far, was how his view of morality is about like why don't we just kill all of the criminals that we come across? They committed crimes. They're bad for society. Might as well take them out. What if Dad was right? Like I love that those questions that he brought up. They were just like, whoa, like this kid definitely, because he's aging too quickly, has a very, very like black and white vision of like how to do things as heroes. So I don't know what are your thoughts on that?
Interesting also because it's definitely shades of where Mark eventually goes,
Yeah.
Because it's not exactly, Mark doesn't exactly, he just kind of goes, no, that's bad. Doesn't really talk about why it's bad, which I think is why it leads Mark down a very similar path in the future, But yeah, I like Oliver this season. It is one of those issues where it's like, he is a kid. He's gonna act like a little shit sometimes. Because that's just the nature of a kid with superpowers. Is sometimes you're like, all right,
he's little shits. Yeah.
And yeah, nothing wrong with that. But it is just a thing that is in the season, and I think he is handled well enough that it never becomes overbearing or annoying. Whenever he does that, it feels much more understandable and realistic when he does ask those kinds of questions or fucks up sometimes. But then it instantly is like, all right. And then he fucking goes, you know what I mean? And you're like, okay, so he's not just going to be bitching all the time. He's not going to be a dick all the time. And he feels, in that sense, much more realistic of a portrayal of a kid with superpowers. And that he fucks up sometimes, he's a dick sometimes, but it's not all the time. It's not, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Some of the times he actually is genuinely helpful. Some of the times he does listen to Mark and Debbie, and it's like, oh, that's a nice, healthy balance where, like, I fuck with the young man. He's an outstanding young man by the end of the show once he starts trying to 1v1 Conquest by himself.
Yeah, he got a real big taste of humble pie, bro. It was crazy. Yeah. But again, that's a part of growing up. You make mistakes, You
make mistakes. Those mistakes lead you to getting almost pulled in half and all your teeth getting punched out.
Yep. That was crazy. I texted you. I was like, bro, he just knocked all his fucking baby teeth
out. He knocked all his baby teeth out of his head. So funny.
But yeah, moral of the story is I really enjoy Oliver this season, and I'm very excited to see just him grow up, because people that don't know, Oliver is half bug. He ages really quick, so yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, the next 2 seasons, by the time season 5 comes around, we're gonna see Oliver either as like a teenager already, either a teenager or like near an adult, which is crazy. But yeah, next notable moment is because of Cecil's actions, especially seeing Cecil put like a sonic bomb in Mark's head without his knowledge. It leads the Guardians being disassembled here. So what was it? Rex-Splode, Shrinking Ray, Monster Girl, Robot, and Bulletproof end up leaving the Guardians. And it's only, I believe, Shapesmith, Bulletproof, Duplicate, and Immortal left on the team. So the Guardians are fractured right now. So I thought that was a really cool thing to that they did, straight from the comics. But yeah, what did you think of the Guardians disassembling here?
I thought it was I don't know, a plot that kind of went a little nowhere. Like, I like hanging with these characters, but like, knowing Rex-Splode was gonna die beforehand, I was just kind of like, all right, that is probably more my fault of just knowing where it goes than other people. But I've heard from other people that they were like, yeah, I kind of knew he was gonna die once they started giving him all this happy relationship stuff, and he started talking about dying. I'm like,
yeah, when they started giving him like an arc.
yeah, they gave him an arc, and they also started like telegraphing it a little too much. And I think the beauty of the comic was that it was just one day he became chill. You know what I mean? And you were like, oh shit, he actually grew up, I think. And you're like, wow, cool. And then you just
I think.
You know what I mean? And you just kind of leave it at that. And then he eventually dies, and you're like, oh shit, he just became cool, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of more of the tragedy of it. But when you try to dress it up with this relationship with Shrinking Ray and, you know, all this other, it's just like you're telegraphing it too much. By the time it happened, I already made my peace with it. I didn't feel any kind of emotion towards it. Yeah. So like, it's a little frustrating to see them again be willing to change and add on to a lot of other stuff and add a lot of stuff that's original to the show, but then in moments where like maybe it would be more useful to add something or take away something, edit in a way, they just choose to kind of be like, okay, let's just do it. And I'm like, I don't feel like you need to add anything to Rex's death. I feel like what could have been added more is just like how the Guardians of the Globe, you know, more react to like, you know, shit like Invincible War and stuff like that, or like Conquest. Would use your time more to like, you know, flesh the rest of the characters out rather than just fleshing out the character that you now know is going to die because he's getting way too much screen time. You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they definitely like. Well, I liked seeing, you know, Rex like not being asshole.
Yeah,
especially because like, you know, they give him a relationship, which they didn't do in the comic, which was fine. I mean, I thought that was a really cute thing to do. But yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, we'll go into Rex's death because that shit still hurt. That gave me PTSD. Yeah, no. But besides the whole Rex stuff, I mean, like, it was mostly just like, okay, we just need to have the Guardians do stuff they did in the comics. That's what the whole Disassembled stuff was, which was fine. Seeing seeing Robot finally give Monster Girl her belt, which I thought was great. Seeing, you know, Duplicate and all that, and Immortal's relationship going forward, that was really interesting. Yeah, it wasn't really nothing really crazy about the Disassembled stuff. It was mostly just Rex was the main focus on it, but like I did like, you know, so it was just stuff like, okay, like, this needs to happen because it's in the comic. Great. This needs to happen because this is in the comic. Great. So that's all I got to really say on it. But yeah, so what's the next one? Next one is pretty simple. Just, you know, because, you know, they left Cecil and they still needed, like, you know, a job, and like they needed money. So yeah, they formed Invincible Inc. Even formed Invincible Inc. Where Mark is pretty much contracted to prisons to pretty much help them anytime a breakout or an attack happens. And I thought was pretty cool. Like, oh yeah, they're doing that. That's nice. You got anything else on? You got anything you want to say on Invincible Inc. at all?
Like I said earlier, trope that is funny and a funny reference in the comics, especially given that it was published like literally like shortly after Batman Inc. You know, was released, so it was more of like a funny topical joke that now just comes across as like, okay, because you don't really know the frame of reference for it.
Yeah, no.
You know, so like, yeah, it was fine. Like, sure.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought it was like, yeah, like that's like I forgot that happened in the comics where it's like, yeah, like because they need money, they're gonna use, you know, they're gonna use their best skill, which is being superheroes, to, you know, make money for themselves and all that stuff. I thought that was really funny. But yeah. All right, so the next one, notable moment. Oh shoot, do I have this back? I have this backward. Holy shit! I got this one wrong. That's crazy. But yeah. Well, the next one is pretty much, you know, talking about, you know, the Adam Eve and Mark relationship, and yeah. I mean, we pretty much said a good part of it. I mean, of the stories, I felt that this was pretty much rushed. You know, because we needed more time to like understand, like let them, you know, develop, you know, we developed more time as friends, develop more, recognize it, like, yeah, like they actually do have feelings for each other, and then have that moment in the comics, which they pretty much do here, where it is, you know, they they have that moment where like, yeah, like we like genuinely love each other, and they like travel on the world for their date, and that like I felt like I really was when I watched this, I was like, but we're getting this scene now. Like, is this? I know they're doing because they have to do it because it's that's what happens before the in terms of like the time frame of the comic. But I'm like, this seems a little too quick. I was like, damn, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, but granted, but even though they did feel a little fast, though, I did think that the performances between Stephen Yeun and Gillian Jacobs was really, really good. Or the chemistry.
Oh yeah, they're
great.
They're good. The writing's good. It's just stuff that it was like, I thought that this kind of thing was supposed to be like remedied through the adaptation. You know what I mean? Like I thought stuff like this, using hindsight, you were able to enhance shit like this, but instead it just comes across as a little more rushed than it should have been. But like, and overall, like where they go eventually, like it's great. You know what I mean? Like the shit that happened in later seasons and shit is great. I mean, barring like the 9 time skips that happened and whatever, 80. You know what I mean? But like, again, I hate those time skips that happen, but also it's really cute every time a time skip happens and they both moved on and then they both instantly go like, let's get back together. I love
back together.
And you're like, oh, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, because they were on and off in the comics for like a little bit, so
they're on and off only because Mark accidentally keeps getting sucked away for years at a time and then coming back and going, fuck you. And she'd be like, yeah, sorry, I like married like 2 different guys in the time you were gone. And he's like, okay, but like, what about me though? I'm still married to you. And she's like, yeah. It's always just funny to have that happen, but a little rushed this season, but they got time. They got time.
Yeah. I thought the performances were great, and just the dialogue was great. But yeah, man, they're finally fucking together. Let's fucking go. Look at it, like Mark and Eve are like my one of my favorite couples like in comics. Like I love these two together. So it was very nice to actually like finally see it. But yeah, all right. Moving on to the next moment, and again Seamus rambled about it a good amount, but the fact that Invincible going to the future. How did you feel about what was the twins' names? It was played by our boy Sholo, Fight Master. I think like Fight Master.
Oh yeah, Fight Master and fucking
uppercut or something like that.
Yeah,
super kick. I don't know, but yeah,
super kick.
Yeah, the two Karate Kid, archetypes. Going back to the past to have Mark fight, their king that is pretty much ruled ruled the earth on their timeline, and it was revealed to be the Immortal, who was gone mad after Mark pretty much left him to run the world, and he pretty much went crazy and just became a tyrant. And I thought that was, when I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot they did that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
like,
it was low-key forgettable, but then like when I realized, like, especially after reading especially like the third act of Invincible, you're just like, oh yeah, it kind of makes sense, because like it kind of alludes to the fact that like Mark does leave Immortal to run the world, at his request. And it's like, this shit could still, and I thought to myself, I was like, wait a minute, this shit could still possibly happen, which is crazy, but like, hopefully.
Well, the robots he was using were the robots that I think Robot uses when he takes over the world.
What? I gotta check that again, because
they were like the mech ones, not his clone ones.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah,
he had like an army of like mech ones that look like that, and then they were led by his like the black suit clone ones.
Yeah, I remember those ones. I don't remember the mech ones, but yeah, probably. But yeah, I was like, I was watching. I was like, yeah, but like this could, this could potentially still happen though. Again, it's like that kind of be wild though, where it's like, yeah, like kind of like time, kind of like is a constant loop. So this is this moment where a young Invincible is going to go to kill a mad Immortal in the future is kind of inevitable. So like, which is crazy. But yeah, no, I thought the scene was cool. But again, it also is another test for Mark, testing his morality because he has to pretty much, kill this guy for the greater good. Like, which again goes back to his morality, confrontation with Cecil. I thought again, like I forgot this happened, but I was like, okay, but I understand why this needs to happen in terms of like Mark Cecil as a character. So I was like, yeah, I thought it was fine.
That's exactly like I get it. I just think that there are ways that they could have done it in a slightly more interesting way, given they have now the benefit of hindsight of knowing where the story goes,
Mm-hmm.
And that's just where a lot of my issues come. That's what they come down to. But like as a first time, if I were a first time viewer, I would really enjoy this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I was watching this for the first time, I would be like, wow, that was a fun little arc. I like that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I thought this was fine. And then also just seeing Sholo in Invincible, that was great. Him playing two characters at once, that was fun. Shout out to our boy. But yeah, we'll move on to the next topic. And this again was one of when I said like there was a little bit of filler, this kind of felt like it, but I was like, okay, but I understand why they did it because it needs to happen. Sure, the comment. But yeah, like the whole stuff with the whole order episode. Where we get to know more of Multiple, who we saw in the beginning of the season, get his ass kicked by Invincible, and him getting broken out of prison by the dragon triad boss guy. We'd see more of Titan, which was great. We get the return of Machine Head getting out of prison after the whole Multiple breakout, and we get introduced to the order here. And I thought this episode was fine. I mean, I just love seeing my boy Mahershala. Oscar award-winning actor Mahershala Big Hirsch Ali, come back as Titan, which was great. And again, this whole morality was the whole theme of this whole season because he also is about that gray area of like, listen, even though I'm controlling, I'm technically a mob boss and it's pretty much a kingpin of crime in his his district of the city, but like he's making it better for he's pretty much doing what he's pretty much making his neighborhood better for everyone. Like he's improving people's way of life, even though he's using crime to make that a reality. I thought that was a really good arc to take. And again, question with Mark's naivety again because he only sees things as black and white, good and evil. I thought that was really, really cool. How do you feel as our shout out to our boy Simu Lu as Multiple here? What do you think of Multiple? I thought his action scenes were great. I thought the way he uses powers were really cool. How creative he was in terms of like he kills, so he's more and he's more willing to sacrifice clones than Kate is. I thought that was great. What do you thought about Simu's performance?
Yeah, some of the uses of his power were pretty gross and pretty cool. I thought that again. I liked this episode, but it definitely was like an episode where you were just kind of like along for the ride, and you were kind of just like Mark felt very much like a backseat character to what was going on, which I think was an interesting take to have, and it was very fun to see him just kind of be like, "Oh, I didn't really do much here except like punch two guys," and kind of seemed like the whole thing took care of itself. But yeah, it like you said, it's another really good episode about morality, and it's just stuff that doesn't get paid off until dinosaurs, So it's all stuff that you kind of gotta wait for because Invincible War doesn't really pay it off, So like, yeah, it was a fun episode. I enjoyed it. Definitely did feel like a Monster of the Week, like quick
episode,
little check-in. Yeah, a quick little. Hey, let's check in with that arc we teased like a season or two ago.
Yeah, I got you. I didn't think it was good. I thought it was really. Also, thought it was really fun. How Machine Head and Titan were working together so that Machine Head could take out, the dragon spirit guy, so that he can get a seat at the order while Titan got his little piece of the pie independently. I thought that was really good. The thing is, like with the order, bro, do you recognize any of these guys? Like I remember like I remember these guys from like there was a version of like the super villain order in like guarding the globe in the second volume. But like I think some of these guys are new. I don't know.
There might be just new additions, just because they were like, let's throw in some cool designs that they didn't use in the comics or whatever, you know.
Also, they probably can't even use the actual order from the comic because of it's a separate series, so separate licensing and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this episode was fun. It was cool. But yeah. So next moment is actually one of my favorite ones is the Nolan and Alan break out of prison episode, the bromance here, the formation of one of the best bromances in comics. I love this. Again, always enjoy Alan the Alien episode, especially Seth Rogen doing his thing. And I love his banner with J.K. Simmons a lot. But I love the fact that it's like we're finally getting to see Alan break Nolan out of prison, even though Nolan is like, I think I'm comfortable dying here. I failed. I'm confused. I think I missed my wife. I don't know what's going on, but I like how Nolan was very accepting of his fate at some point. Like he was ready to die via the Viltrumite executioners coming in, but Alan just refused to give up on him to the point where like he used his charm and his his good heart to allow Nolan to fight to live. That was really great. So what are your thoughts on just Alan and Nolan here in this episode?
Oh yeah, it was one of my favorite episodes and arcs, just because it's so silly, and I like that their relationship develops a little more, because they Omni-Man mentioned in season 1 that he's dealt with Alan a bunch, but it was just cool to see them actually face to face deal with each other and talk about Omni-Man kind of going crazy and trying to kill Mark, and Alan just going like, okay, well anyway, Mark's chill with you now, so I'm chill with you, so we gotta get you the fuck out of here.
And but in reality, because he sees Nolan, being a Viltrumite that left his post as a good ass, as a best asset for the coalition of planets, which again is setting up for.
Pull up, dude.
Yeah.
Your son needs you.
Yeah. And
the Lakers need a center.
Lakers need a center. And again, it's just more cooking and more season for the stuff that's gonna happen later on in the series. But I thought this whole thing was great, and again, to see their action and their camaraderie, I thought it was a lot of fun. Again, it's just like it's just freaking Nolan and Alan being dudes. I just love that. I love that shit in the comics so much because it was a lot of fun.
We love guys being dudes.
Guys being dudes, man. But most importantly, Seamus, we finally got the return of one of our favorite characters in the Invincible universe, which was pretty much when Alan breaks all the prisoners out, and have the fight, and have the team with Nolan. We finally get the return of Battle Beast, and this is the part I was just like, yes, my boy. Again, it's just every time Battle Beast is on screen. Again, we haven't seen him on screen since season 1. Again, Michael Dorn doing his thing, just like Battle Beast is going.
Oh, he's so good.
His motivation is just to kill Viltrumites and nothing else. I thought it was so fun. And him going after Alan at first because he realized, oh wait, this dude's strong. I like strong people. Let's fight. But no, you don't want to fight me. Viltrumites over there, they're beating the shit out of Nolan, but don't kill Nolan though. He's good. We're cool with him. But the other Viltrumites, those are all you. And he fought him to the point where like he fought him outside of the airlock and he was drifting in space. And I was like, this is just great.
Yeah, right. You're just
it's
like,
so
damn. Battle Beast is such a fun character.
He is, man.
They were like, yeah, what if Goku was in our series?
What if Goku was in our series, but he was just more sadistic and just more bloodthirsty? But yeah, man, Battle Beast
strong. He just tries to like fucking punch anyone he sees. You're like, dude.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. But again, it just and also this got me excited again for people that don't know. There's gonna be a Battle Beast series coming out, written by Robert Kirkman and drawn by Otley, so that's gonna be fun. But yeah, man, it was just great to see. It was just great to see Battle Beast again. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, I got nothing else to say. Do you have anything else? We'll move on to the next one. We love Battle Beast up in here.
I'm excited for that series that's coming out. I mean, we haven't gotten Invincible comic content like ever since it ended. I don't think, right?
Yeah, since it ended. And the thing is, like, I hope that if the people buy into it. If it gets good sales, it gets good reception. I hope he does more because there's a lot of loose ends that Kirkman left at the end of Invincible that I want to see him flesh out a little bit more. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. But next notable moment is a moment that me and Seamus have been talking about for a while, where we get the introduction of I would say in a way, well, I think in his eyes he's Invincible's arch nemesis, but the introduction of Poweplex, played by Jesse Pinkman, of all people, played by Aaron Paul.
Boy, Aaron Paul.
And he didn't say bitch once. I was very shocked to be like, come on, just let him say bitch once. That's his thing. But yeah, man, Poweplex, the character that was pretty much a result of the fight of the casualties of the fight between Omni-Man and Invincible. And I was waiting for this when especially when the poster dropped and we saw, Invincible do the pose in front of some lightning, because we knew it was like Poweplex is gonna come. It's gonna be good stuff, because he blamed, because I think it was with Poweplex people, he blames Invincible for the death of his sister and his niece, and he pretty much goes on like kind of like a revenge. He tries to do things the right way, which I thought was a really good thing they added in this, where like he tries to build an actual court case to have Invincible liable in court to get justice the right way, like do it via the system. But when it fails him, he decides to take matters into his own hands, because he has powers of his own and he uses technology, because he works for where he works for Cecil in his R&D department. So he uses the technology to boost his own powers and take matters in his own hands to become Invincible's arch nemesis. And the thing is with Poweplex, he's pretty powerful, like pun intended. Like he's a pretty powerful threat to Invincible. And yeah, what do you think about his introduction? I thought it was fun because I also forgot that like his wife was in on it. I love that angle where it's like, like his wife, like you would think like it's another play on that trope where it's like, the bad guy who has a vendetta to the hero, who has a family, his family doesn't know about what he's doing, in his hours. But no, it's a twist where like, no, his wife has the same amount of hatred and vein that his husband does to Invincible. I thought that was great.
Because their family got fucking killed. So like, and it's unreasonable a little bit, but it's also, I understand their anger or whatever. It's a good arc. It's a fun little arc, and I'm glad they kept it short, sweet. There was only that one episode, just like the comics, and I liked seeing his cameo again in Invincible War when it happened.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it was like one of the most powerful moments, and again, it's like his hatred for Invincible literally costs his family like their life.
Fried his family, dude.
His wife and their like newborn son got roasted, and even though I knew it was gonna happen from the comic, I was like, wow, they're like really going for it. I was like, Jesus Christ! Like when they showed the corpses, I was like, wow, like this is crazy. Also thought it was crazy work with like when the Invincible War happens and this man is like helping with the counter efforts, and the moment he sees Invincible, he immediately tries to attack him. Like his hubris, like his vengeance is so strong to the point where like he won't learn from it. I love that about a character. That's kind of like his fatal flaws. Like his vengeance towards Invincible is so strong. Even I think it may even rival Angstrom Levy's hatred towards Invincible to a degree. It's crazy, but yeah, Poweplex arc really good. And Aaron Paul did a really good job. I loved his performance in this.
He definitely did great.
Didn't say bitch again. That's his thing. Like
didn't need to though. Some of the stuff he was saying sounded exactly like Jesse sometimes.
There was really one scene in the line in here where like I really immediately thought it was like, he can't keep getting away with that.
He can't keep getting away with it.
It's like I immediately thought that, and I immediately saw memes online about it. I was like, let's go.
Well, this episode had one of my favorite title drops of the show so far.
Oh my god, yeah, when he egged it on so much. It was so funny. I think it's like, I remember when like Maddie, shout out to Maddie, when we were watching Invincible season 1 together, she did not like the fact that like the title cards would just pop up randomly. So I imagine, I was like, yeah, when she eventually gets on this, she's gonna fucking hate this. But but which made me enjoy it 10 times more. I thought it was so funny. But yeah, man. So obviously, just the next moment here, and we're getting towards the end, towards like the moments, little moments. But we saw these orbs show up. Watching Mark's house. Watching his every move, and we immediately, obviously, people that read the comics knew. Yeah, man, that means our boy Angstrom Levy's coming back. With an upgrade because last time we saw Angstrom Levy, he literally got like eviscerated by Mark, but still alive a little bit, just barely, but still alive here. But yeah, he was revived by these crazy extra dimensional mad scientists, and he was enacting his plan, to attack Mark and not just attack Mark, but also not just to hurt Mark, his family, but also hurt his reputation. But yeah, real quick, before we get into obviously the best part, the event. What do you think about him coming back? And obviously it's Sterling K. Brown voicing him. The great Sterling K. Brown, doing his thing.
Yeah, I love when Angstrom always comes back. Sterling K. Brown's so good as Angstrom.
He really goes for it. Like I love.
He does it. He knows he's on a superhero cartoon show, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna sound like a fucking insane supervillain. Like I'm not gonna half-ass it. Yeah, like during that opening scene of the Invincible War episode where he's yelling, "Make them fear Invincible, make them hate," and then they just cut to it, and you're like, "Oh,
yeah, it's so good." What do you think of his action scenes like towards like the later part of the Invincible War? I thought his action scenes were crazy. Like
I like how he was trying to throw people in portals and also throwing just thousands of drones at Mark.
Yeah. And I love how Mark countered it too, because like he's like I've been thrown in Angstrom portals before, so like he knew how to evade them. He knew like he really had to control like how his flight worked. That was really creative and really fun. Yeah, man, he's looking mad ugly, man, like KSI. It was great with that forehead. No, I mean,
he did. I'm not even gonna lie, he totally did.
But yeah, obviously. Leading up to it, I feel like I gotta change the music up to get more of that dark ambiance a little bit. You know what I mean?
Dark evil ambiance is hilarious.
But so one of the movie, again, it's kind of a mix of Angstrom stuff, but one of the things that kind of which was great with Angstrom's character was his return. Nah, I mean, but it was just like, yeah, the fact that Angstrom said he wants to hurt Invincible physically, but also hurt him mentally, but also hurt his reputation. He wants people to understand that this is who Invincible is. He's a destroyer. He's an evil person. He's a destroyer. Which he ruined my life, even though he didn't actually ruin his life. And but he decides to his form of revenge is to have some variants of Invincible come in and destroy, and pretty much just go in and just destroy everything. Like destroy everything. And that pretty much leads into the Invincible War. And and again, this is the moment I've been waiting for since the show has come out. Like seriously. Like I wanted to see a bunch of Mark variants, again, all evil Mark variants, mess the world up. Like, and it's great. It's crazy because like this is the event that showcases like how like this isn't just a typical superhero story where like so many casualties, so many people die in this event. It's crazy. But yeah, man, it was just seeing all the Mark variants again, all accurate to the comics. I think some added to just some new fun ones added to the show. I know they made one that was was there one that was I think this was an edit that I saw from somebody, but someone made an edit, or I don't know if it was in the show, of someone that was like MCU Invincible, where it was like all extra like armors and lines on their costumes.
No, they did have one with extra lines and stuff. That was yeah.
But yeah, man, just seeing, the Invincible War take place, all these variants just destroy everything. The confusion from the people, like the amount of people that die, like so many bodies drop in this. Innocent lives are lost. It's crazy. And then we get to see, and we get a little bit of, what I like from the Invincible. We get a little bit of like all these variants, like even though they're all evil versions of Mark, all of them have various personalities, various motivations of why they're doing this, why they're enacting Angstrom's plan. But yeah, man, what were your thoughts on the Invincible War taking place, dude? Those 4 days of chaos.
It was very well done. I really enjoyed how they did it. I thought it was one of their best episodes this season and of the show in general.
Absolutely.
It was just really solid. They really did it justice. I loved it. It was what I was arguably anticipating more than the Conquest fight, just because.
Yeah, me too.
I already knew that the Conquest fight was going to be great, and they were going to put all their energy into that. But I was just hoping that I was like, I hope Invincible War hits just as hard, and it did. Mm-hmm. And it was really fucking good.
Like the action was fantastic. Again, seeing those moments of like getting inside of like what are the motivations behind these Invincible variants, that was really good. Like, remember there was one that was like he literally was like he wanted to. The only reason I was here just to get his mom back, because his mom died, because Debbie died in his world, and wanted to take this version, this Mark's mom, and bring him to his world. It was one of them. Again, like, it was really interesting. It was really fun. A lot of them was like, one of them more leaning towards his dad. A lot of them were more leaning towards, a mix of both, like, his human side and his Viltrumite side, but just more this evildoer, like, due to like, outside circumstances. One of them was like, I think it was the one here, one with the that one with Cape Vincible, which is what they called him, Cape Vincible, the red one. That one was more like, when he runs into Adam Eve, he's like, I really hate you. I'm really gonna enjoy killing you. I was like, whoa. Back when we did on Students of Shield, the one with the Mohawk, we called him Marky Mark. Like Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Marky Mark, yeah.
Yeah. But Marky Mark going in there and being like, being a sadistic bastard. Like it was great to see, like, and Steven Yeun showing his range here, being like, yeah, like this is all variants of Invincible, but they all have their own little bitty, little moments that make him a little different from that show a little bit of personality. I thought that was so much fun. Which one out of all of the variants, Seamus, did you like the most? Which one was your favorite one?
I think my favorite was for the bit was randomly Southern Mark. I think he was the funny one.
Which one was that?
I'm gonna kill all you people. It's just one with the Southern accent. The one with the not the mask, but like the sheet of fabric in front of his face.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I remember that.
I think him was funny for the bit. But I think my favorite was Omni-Mark.
Omni-Mark.
He's like, cursing doesn't make you cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was the one where Omni-Vincible. That was the one with the red cape. I love that design. All the designs are great in this. A lot of designs are like the way they play with the costume is great. Omni-Vincible, Viltrumite Vincible, Mustache Vincible, which is the one that's like directly right in front of us. Prison Vincible, one that's like extremely like aggressively scarred and bald. Flaxen Vincible, yeah. I forgot there was an Invincible that stayed on Flaxen and that had like Flaxen armor. That's crazy. Mo Vincahawk, which we refer to as Marky Mark in Students of Shield lore. Cape Vincible, which is the one with the yellow cape. Stripe Vincible. Again, that was one with extra lines and all that stuff. Light blue Vincible. Okay. Bulletproof Vincible. Yeah, the one in the bulletproof suit.
Yeah, right there.
Right there. Hood Vincible. That's the one with the fabric over his head?
Yeah.
But his hair was exposed though, right?
Yeah, the one that looks like Grifter.
That Grifter, yep. Okay, yeah. So Hood Vincible, Sport Vincible, so he's wearing more sporty clothes. No Goggles Vincible, which again I don't like. I don't like that look. Or which is like Invincible.
I don't like no Goggles Vincible at all.
Yeah, it's like he was the one that fought the Guardians of the Globe. Like he was the one that was fucking them up.
Yeah.
let's see, Goggles Vincible, Cape Vincible, no, Cap Vincible. So Vincible was just like, it was just like a full cowl pretty much. No Maskable, Mass Vincible. So one with the full, he was one who had like, you know, the black suit of Invincible, but he had a full face mask. Hair Invincible, the one with the rat ass, and the one with the rat ass like mane. Yeah, man, this was a lot of fun. Again, this is my favorite thing of like Invincible period in comics as well as in the show. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, man, anything else you wanna say?
No, I love this shit. I loved it so much. I got no notes on this episode.
Yeah, and
it's like that was cool as hell.
Cool as hell, and also it's just like, you know, Mark seeing like, you know, what like multiple aspects of like of how evil he could like potentially become. That was really good, and especially like when they fight him and they're talking about him, how weak he is, how, you know, not up to par he is compared to the rest of them, how he's wasting his potential. I loved that so much, and again, it's just like it gives they're a visible representation of like Mark's like jumping morality that he's been going through the whole season. I loved it so much. But yeah, I mean, to get even more crazy, you know, actually, no, we'll before we get to like, you know, one of the more glum parts of the Invincible War,
yeah,
we'll get to more fun stuff, Shane. We'll get to more of the fun stuff. We got some little break, but luckily enough, which surprised the shit out of me, definitely when we were during the Invincible War, we got a bunch of cameos, bro. We got to see a bunch of characters that, like, you know, I honestly thought that Robert Kirkman wasn't allowed to use at all because of the whole, you know, the licensing issue with, you know, a lot of the because people don't know, a lot of the characters that show up in the Invincible universe, that show up in the main comic, they all spawn off into their own series. And because the way, you know, licensing works, because they have their own separate series, they have to, like, you know, it's with different creators, it's a whole licensing issue. So Robert Kirkman in the beginning said, like, we will not use some of these characters because it's a whole licensing issue, because they all have their own separate series that spun off from Invincible. So, but luckily, I guess he kind of leaned in a little bit, because obviously they had, you know, he was allowed to do cameos of these characters. So the first batch that we got were Tech Jacket, which shocked me. I was like, oh my god, it's Tech Jacket. That's Christian.
Yeah.
That's our boy. For people that don't know, our running joke in the Students of Shield with the Invincible podcast was that Christian looked like Tech Jacket, so we always referred to him as Christian. So Christian made an appearance as Tech Jacket, which was dope. I forgot that he had a head laser. That was fun. We got to see Brit, which again, like, I'm like, because Brit's such a huge part of the Invincible universe. So it was so nice to see him, you know, him as like in a leadership role, but also like because he's such a huge part in the comics. So I was like, you know, I kind of forgot and missed, and like he's a big part of the Invincible comics going forward. But also, like, I'm really hoping that, you know, because the Guardians have Disassembled, Robert Kirkman will be able to use him more to, you know, make the new Guardians of the Globe, like, well, the new Guardians of the Globe. Know what I mean? Which I really hope happens. And we did see a bunch of those characters too that showed up in, like, you know, the Guardian of the Globe spin-off series. Which some of them I can't name because some of them aren't really that important. Well, I remember Trooper Cabra. I remember that one. Cabra. And I gotta look these characters up. But yeah, I really hope to see those characters come through if Robert Kirkman does have more of leeway to use them going forward, because again, they're a huge part of the Invincible universe. They formulate, you know, the Invincible universe. You know, they expand it, which I think is really important. But yeah, also we got our boy Gary Hampton, the astounding Wolfman, baby. Let's go.
I was shocked we got Wolfman.
That made my jaw drop. I was like, what? It throw back to the Invincible podcast on Students of Shield, but like I remember we covered that. We covered the first volume of the Astounding Wolfman because it was in between the transitional arc, like after the Invincible War. And and like I remember Christian and Damone and Matt. I think it was Christian and Matt. I think it was Christian and Matt. They did not like it. They did not like it at all. They did not like they did not like the Astounding Wolfman, at least the first volume. And I told them, I was telling Maddie, I was like, it's gonna get better. Like I heard like the Astounding Wolfman is really good, like past the first volume, but like they did not like it at all.
They
Like,
did not. They were not talking about the first volume at all.
Nah. To the point even where I mentioned, hey, we might do more Astounding Wolfman in the future. They're like, no, we're not doing it. So. But I thought this was great. This made my jaw drop. I was like, bro, like, he looks fantastic in animation. Again, like, we don't have to see him again, but like, it would be really cool to see more appearances of him in the future. And it made me want to actually like, continue the series because I've only read the first volume, so we want to actually like continue the Astounding Wolfman in the future. Yeah. So it was that. Also made my jaw drop was we finally got the debut of Capes Incorporated, baby. We got some Kid Thor, we got some Knockout, we got some Bolt. I was so happy because I loved Capes. Capes was one of my favorite series in the Invincible universe. So I was very happy to see these characters again. They look great. Like Kid Thor with his freaking big ass hammer. I loved it.
They yelled out at Kid Thor too.
Yeah, they did. It was so dope. I didn't get who voice acted. Like the voice actor sounded familiar who played Bolt, but yeah, like I really do hope that like Kirkman's kind of cooking here a little bit, and we do maybe get some spinoffs. I would love a spinoff of a spinoff series or mini series of Capes Incorporated where it's like literally like The Office but with superheroes, which is what the comic book is. So I would love that. Yeah, Capes Incorporated, let's go. But also we got the strongest character. So the strongest Invincible Universe character, in my opinion, the best, in my opinion. We got a nice little teaser of Best Tiger, baby. Yo, I love the most.
Everyone thought this was a Mark variant,
right? I saw some people talking about that too, but like, no, this is Best Tiger, the strongest and most OP character in the Invincible Universe. I was so happy to see him. He's so funny. I was so happy to see him. I forget he has a kind of a camaraderie with another Invincible character. I think it's Chupacabra. I think him and Chupacabra team up. I could be wrong. I remember we talked about it a lot on the podcast. But yeah, Best Tiger is great. There's literally an issue of Guarding the Globe. I think either it was Guarding the Globe or the Invincible Universe. Yeah, it was Invincible Universe that was focused on Best Tiger, but like of how powerful, how good of a character he actually is. I loved it.
Yeah.
So I really hope that they do that some with him in the future. But yeah, there was a bunch of characters in here that they showed off that I was very happy to see. But yeah, man, some Best Tiger, some Capes Incorporated, and some Brit Tech Jacket and the Astounding Wolfman. That was good enough for me. I was very happy to see him. And again, this whole scene was just it was just food for the fans. I thought it was very appreciated. But yeah, man, any thoughts on these characters? Or any more thoughts? Were there any characters that you were hoping to see? Because I mean, like in the Invincible universe, in the Invincible War in the comics, like almost every Image character shows up. So like,
you know who I was hoping to see?
You want to see Spawn?
My two boys. No, my two real boys.
Okay.
I was hoping to see my boy Savage Dragon and my boy Jackie Estacado.
Bro, if Savage Dragon and the Darkness showed up, I would have cried. Bro, if the Darkness or Witchblade showed up, I would have been in tears. Like, no cap. I would have cried.
It would have been so funny. It would have been so funny just because of how much of a bit it is for both of them to show up.
Right? I mean, if Spawn showed up, that would have been crazy, bro. If Fire Breather showed up, I would have lost it because like he's a character that no one remembers. That would have been an interesting little. That would have been like a quick little. I feel like they could have used him though because like no one remembers him and like no one's used him in years. So, that would have been a fun cameo. Like Fire Breather show up. I mean, I wouldn't have cared if get Youngblood out of there. I don't need to see them.
I don't need to see Youngblood.
Get like most of the Rob Liefeld characters out of there. I didn't really want to see him. But,
yeah, you know who would have been funny to see. I mean, they could have retroactively thrown him in, given he wasn't in the original, but he exists now. Is fucking Owen Johnson from Firepower?
No, that'd be crazy.
That would have been a funny little like throw in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would have been crazy.
Little cameo.
But yeah, that'd been cool. But yeah, man, I mean, like obviously, like they couldn't use all these characters, of course, but like the fact that we, it would have been really cool to see. Fire Breather would nuts. Like if they did Fire Breather, which again I want to do Fire Breather on the channel at some point because no one talks about that book. But yeah, I've been dope. We have fucking Darkness, bro. I would have cried. Darkness, Savage Dragon, Spawn, Witchblade. That'd be crazy.
If they did Fire Breather and he was animated like he was in that fucking animated Cartoon Network movie.
No, they would have to do it. They would have to do it in well, they would have to do a mix of both. I would have preferred if they did a mix of of how he was in that animated movie on Cartoon Network and like how he is in the comic. But but yeah, man. But yeah, I got nothing else to say, man. These cameos were a lot of fun, and I really hope I hope these are teases to things. I hope they do more. There's a tease to the new Guardians of the Go. There's a tease for Britt becoming more of a leader and getting more of a leadership role. But again, you have to work on all that stuff licensing wise.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, man. So we're gonna the fun's over, and we're gonna get more loomy and gloomy. But as Seamus said before, we've been talking about before, throughout the whole podcast that this unfortunately one of the biggest casualties that which happened in the comics and lays the groundwork to set up like a lot of the set the tone of some of the characters going forward. But we saw the brave and noble sacrifice of Rex-Splode, and we saw him die. But we saw him be the hero we always knew that he could be. Because this was even in the comics, this was his kind of his sentiment. This was this was the nail in the coffin of his arc of him being being mature, of his maturity arc, pretty much, of his redemption arc, after seeing him be an asshole for the beginning of the series. And yeah, man, I honestly, Seamus, I was really hoping that they didn't do this because Rex's death is one of the most, I think, is one of the most impactful deaths going forward, because obviously we saw him be a goof in the comics, we saw him be an asshole, we saw him be a womanizer, but then when we saw him grow, be not to be just a chill dude, to be a supportive guy, to actually figure himself out. Which again, I thought this was a good element to add. Him being in a relationship with Shrinking Ray and him actually trying to figure himself out. Outside of the superhero role and being more of a human being, because he didn't get a chance to become. He got his time to grow up and to become to naturally become an adult taken away from him. So I thought that was, after seeing him die, I was like, come on, man. And it was just it bummed me out like it did in the comic, but at the same time, but his death was necessary. His death is kind of it changes the tone the tone and the status quo of the Invincible series going forward, especially because we're going more darker times, in the next, with this arc, with the second half of the story, so I thought this was great. Oh, so we only wanted to elaborate more on Rex's death.
I liked I liked how they changed his line to "my entire goddamn skeleton," because that does feel more Rex.
Yeah. It does feel more Rex.
I thought it was well done. I thought it just I thought that for something that they gave so much for something that they gave so much time and effort towards for the rest of the season, the actual scene itself felt very quick. You know what I mean? And it just felt like it was whoa. And I don't know if that was an intentional choice made to make it seem more sudden, but for me it just felt like the pacing went a little too quick, and then all of a sudden he was dead and everyone was like, oh, he's dead, and they moved on. You're like, oh, I thought that'd be just I thought you'd hold on that moment just a little longer. But again, little nitpick, I think this is one of the better deaths in comics, mostly also due to the fact that he doesn't come back. So he
doesn't come back at all. Yeah, so don't get your hopes up, people.
God, he stays dead, which is a good thing. It's a good thing sometimes in comics for someone to just rest in peace instead of being brought back. Although I think nowadays, if this happened now, he totally would have been brought back, and they would have done a Red Hood Bucky like parody arc.
Oh, 100%. Which again, I hope they don't do. but yeah, this is one of the most like this death is one of I feel like it's akin to like, you know, in a way in terms of like impact, especially because after seeing his funeral, when we see his funeral, how the entire hero community shows up, how he was affected, how Mark's affected, how Rudy's affected, because Rudy, again, now we get to see who the Rex that was in the robot body is. It's actually Rudy, and he takes on the name of Rex to honor Rex-Splode's sacrifice, which I think is great. Which I think is great in the moment. But yeah, it's I think it's almost akin to impact to like the death of like the ultimate Peter Parker, you know, in the original Ultimate Universe. It's like around that realm. I'm not saying it's the same, but it's around that realm of like impactfulness of like how the whole world, how the whole universe itself is like affected by Rex's death. And yeah, it's good. It's good stuff, man. Again, it was quick, but I thought the way they handled it, the way they handled it was still fine. Again, this sucks is like, you know, we're not going to see Jason Mantzoukas again for a long while, because again, not going to spoil, because I think, but it's funny to like, you know, we'll even though we'll never see Rex, you know, like alive, like Rex won't, like our Rex won't come back, but it's like we are going to see Rex again at some point.
Well, yeah, that's a reboot.
Mm-hmm.
They do that whole thing.
Yeah, the whole reboot thing. But it's with stuff. I'm like, damn it, like, cause Jason Mantzoukas was fun. He was having so much fun in the role.
That reboot arc pissed me off. You reminded me of that reboot arc.
Well, this isn't permission for you to rant because, you know, time. But like, you know, I could understand why you wouldn't like it. But yeah, bro. Death of Rex, man. R.I.P. to Rex. Pouring out for our boy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not actually gonna pour it out because I don't want to make a mess on my carpet. But yeah.
Whoa. What are you pouring out?
It's just water, bro.
What are you unloaded? Oh yeah,
This water. But all right, so yeah, move on to now. Man, shut up. moving on to the last notable moment that we're gonna talk about, which again we've been talking about the whole time. But yeah, man, and that fucking in the moment when Conquest shows up, amazing. Played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, freaking Negan, voicing Conquest. And I was a little worried when I found that out, because like I'm just gonna be hearing Negan the whole time. I was worried that, like, you know, because, you know, I was gonna hear. I thought he was gonna be just doing a Negan like voice, but like just coming out of Conquest's mouth. Yeah. But man, Jeffrey Dean Morgan went for it, bro. Oh my god! And like the way the fight happens, like especially because it happens at the end, just like, because again, this panel right here in the comic is like one of my favorite panels in Invincible. Like I love like pages. I love the whole face-off between Invincible and Conquest, and the fact that, you know, the way the performances were, where Mark got his ass handed to him badly. Like this is the most broken we've seen Mark since his fight with Omni-Man. I think it's 10 times worse than Omni-Man, than his fight with his father.
Yeah.
It's brutal as fuck. Like it's they do the whole trains. They do a much the train scene, but it's like on a beach. And it's way worse. You know, and freaking Oliver coming in and getting his ass handed to him.
I do like how that move is just like a Viltrumite 101 maneuver.
It's that, and, you know, typical Invincible fashion, shoving an arm through the chest, through the belly. That's a Viltrumite staple. Yeah, man, the fight, man, just seeing like how, like, you know, we learn more about Conquest throughout the course of the fight. How he's just like, how Conquest is like, I'm lonely, I have no friends, because
Dude, I was like one of my favorite additions to the show so far. Because I was just like, holy shit, I love that. That was just such a good add-on.
Like, no one wants to be my friend because they just see me as a fucking monster. They see me as a form of conquest. I don't even have a name because I was so good at what I did. I was like, this is amazing. Like this is amazing. It is such good character detail that, and it shines through, you know, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's performance. Yeah, man, this is like the whole Adam Eve fight, showing how Adam Eve, went God mode when she dies, which again is like a reminder of the whole Adam Eve, special in the comics and the special they did on Amazon. Oh, again, this man punched Oliver's baby teeth out in one fucking punch, trying to rip him in half.
Great, dude.
It was crazy. But yeah, man, the whole Conquest fight, was amazing, well choreographed, and this is where a lot of the animators cooked the most, obviously as they needed to, and to sell the emotional impact, the physical violence and brutality of it all. Wait, I forgot how it ended, like how he ended that fight by the headbutt, where like he pulls an Angstrom Levy, but he used his head because Conquest broke his leg and both of his wrists, both of his arms. Like, it was crazy, man. And again, they teased it with Cecil for season 4, where like Cecil didn't ask him to dispose of Conquest's body, but obviously what we said before, Cecil loves to use all the tools at his disposal to keep him alive, to get information on the Viltrumites, which will backfire on him. We know that, from reading the comics. But yeah, man. Any more thoughts on this Conquest fight, dude? It was amazing. It was amazing. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was where they put all their animation budget into and time into. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was great. I love the little additions. I think that this entire fucking episode was just like my favorite of the show so far, from a entertainment standpoint. I think if you wanted anything other than pure unadulterated entertainment, you probably would be sorely disappointed by this episode, because they don't really get into anything story-wise, but that's not what this episode's for. You know what I mean? This episode's to smack you in the face and go, holy shit, yeah, the Viltrumites are coming. I totally forgot.
Yeah, it was to remind you that, like, yeah, there's still a threat in this universe. There's still a threat to Earth and to Mark. Like, so I thought that was great. And which is, again, it's kind of like the way that it was in the comics, too.
Yeah, and it is like pure popcorn entertainment, and it's great at it. It's so good at it. It's just fun, So, like, I can understand people not liking this as a finale, because they're like, it's just a big fight against a Viltrumite. And you know what I mean? And if you're coming to Invincible for anything more than that, then, like, yeah, you'd probably be disappointed by this, and you probably wouldn't like this that much, which is understandable. But, like,
of course,
me personally, I fucking enjoyed this fight a lot. Yes. It was an hour-long fight scene. I loved it.
And again, it's just like, we'll talk about this in theories, but yeah, it was like it got me really excited for what's coming next. Because again, y'all don't know, like, which again, I feel this is why I'm jealous of people who are getting into this new, like, fresh. Like, y'all don't know. This is a little taste of what we're gonna get in the next half of the.
You're tasting Viltrumite right now. You're tasting them.
You're tasting Viltrumite right now, and it's bloody as fuck.
He's in your mouth right now.
He's in your mouth, yeah.
He was in Mark's mouth, remember?
Yeah.
That little bite.
Oh man, him making a heart like out of blood was crazy.
That was insane. That was fucking insane.
Like, again, like I forgot how fucking crazy Conquest is. Like, he's just insane. And again, I'm looking forward to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan come back. Like, again, just like, just play, like, he plays the character so well. Like Negan was the warm up. Negan walked so Conquest could run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah. So we will. I think we're good on the Invincible Conquest stuff. It's great, man, and I'm very excited to see what's next. But yeah, let's change the music. But we're gonna be happy again. It's too gloom. It's too gloom. But yeah, we're gonna go back to theories now. So yeah, man, theories. So again, I have a bunch of.
Do we even really do theories if we already know?
Yeah, we already know. But yeah, I mean, like, we could just. I have like a few slides, but like we could just go into like what.
I have a crazy theory. I think that the leader of the Viltrumites is going to have sex with as many of those bug people as possible to create his own army.
Again, that's not even like. See, that's not even season 5. That's not even season 4 stuff yet. But
what was that? That's like 7.
Yeah. We'll talk about we'll go into some of the stuff they teased.
And I'll bet you $5,000 that happens, Mike.
We're not doing this right now, Seamus. but
we're not doing insider trading anymore.
But yeah, so we are. We're gonna be talking about what happened at the end. What are they teasing for season 5 of Invincible, season 4 of Invincible, even season 5 even.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously they return. They again loose ends. Again, we're reminding people, hey, this is happening. The Sequids are coming back. Yep, Return of the Sequids. Because again, I forgot this was I forgot that this was the twist from the last season where it's like, yeah, no, the Sequids are still alive.
Is the Sequids the start of the Dinosaurus arc? Because that's when Mark fucking bodies the leader of the Sequids and just fucking. And everyone was like, dude, he's in it. That guy was innocent. Like, that guy was under mind control. And Mark was like, who cares? I solved the problem. And he just leaves.
Mm-hmm.
and then like I think like one of the next issues after is when Dinosaur shows up. Mark's like, oh, this guy's got some good ideas.
Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, man. So Sequid, so it's pretty much they've been Sequid Invasion Part 2, and he's been taking time because the real Rex Livingston that's been mind controlled by a Sequid has been has been luring people into the sewers and infesting people. So he's probably infested. Yeah, like I remember, like the Sequid invasion was so crazy because they invested the Sequids mind controlled like the entire almost like half the city, and it was like crazy as fuck. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes down. And again, it's gonna be so crazy. Yeah, more of Mark's darker side a little bit. His frustration, like you said. But yeah, any thoughts on the Sequids coming back or no?
I fuck with Sequids. I fuck with Sequids, I guess.
We all fuck with Sequids. All right, the next one, which was a new one. This is a new storyline they're bringing up. But we got a look at because last time we saw this character, Mark sent him back to hell. But Damian Darkblood is going to be coming back, and this is going to be a new storyline that Kirkman's introducing for the show that was on the comics. And he mentioned this before in an interview, I remember. Yeah. And we talked about it before, like a few years ago in the first season, where it's like, oh yeah, like Damian Darkblood returning to hell. We could maybe do that as like a new thing, in the Invincible show, because we can do stuff. We can take more creative liberties of that. So yeah, like are we pretty much gonna be seeing a kind of a supernatural hell on earth situation, like an apocalypse situation going on? I don't know. What do you think about this? Because this is new. We don't know anything about this.
I was gonna say, this is the most interesting aspect, just because it's I haven't seen it before. Because Kirkman said he planned this to be in the comic and he just cut it out because he didn't have time.
He cut it out. Yeah.
So yeah, interested to see where this goes. I assume it's going to lead to some hell invasion of Earth again, which is going to be fun to see. Mm-hmm. I kind of don't want to do any theories on this just because I want to be as surprised as possible, Yeah,
that's true. Because again, it's kind of cool that even when it proved it in the first season of Invincible, Damian Darkblood wasn't really a character. Like he was just there as a joke. In the comics, the fact that Kirkman's been actually taking this time to
he was an Etrigan joke in the comics.
He was an Etrigan joke in the comics. Yep. And the fact that Kirkman's been taking the time with the show to actually make him more substantial and actually kind of give him an arc in a way. Now the fact he's coming back, I forgot about him. We haven't seen him since season 1, so it's gonna be really cool to see him back. And it was fun. I just realized, because we always refer to him in the podcast back in the day as Demon Rorschach, but he's more like Hellboy in a way.
Yeah,
right? He's more of like Kirkman's version of Hellboy. So yeah, man, freaking Damian Darkblood's coming back. That's gonna be awesome. So I'm very looking forward to see where the storyline plays out. Mm-hmm. All right, Seamus. So the next theory, but because they didn't mention this in the show, this is an actual genuine theory which we know is gonna happen in the comics. But yeah, bro, we forgot about Nolan's books here, man. Remember what what Nolan said to Mark was to read his books, and this is going to be kind of the discovery of all the Viltrumites' weaknesses. So I'll list them all here for you. But yeah, we're going to be getting you know, the first one is Scourge virus. Scourge virus is the big one. We're talking about the Scourge virus showing up, as well as I think it's called Ragnars, the little creatures that are that can pierce through Viltrumite flesh like butter that they're afraid of, and obviously our boy Space Racer, which again I hope to God Michael Chiklis voices Space Racer.
Space Racer is gonna be so good, dude.
He's gonna be so good.
Yeah, there's this one dude who's on a bike and he can literally just kill anyone he wants.
Yeah,
it's just such a great idea.
I feel like he's like the answer to like the ultimate nullifier, like in the Marvel comics. Like he's just a MacGuffin that can kill anything.
He's Cosmic Ghost Rider, but he just can kill anything.
But yeah, bro, what are your thoughts on the books on the Viltrumite weaknesses being introduced?
I'm excited for this shit. This shit is one of my favorite parts of the comics, honestly.
Especially like this. I don't want to go into detail on the Scourge stuff, on the weaknesses too much, but especially the Scourge virus, because Scourge virus has a huge part to play later on in the comics. But yeah, man, it's I'm really looking forward to having casual audience be like, oh wait, this is what the books were for. This is what he actually meant. This is what the stories are. The stories are like, in case anything happens to me, this is how you defeat Viltrumites. I thought this would be great. But also, yeah, eventually having, this is more like season 5, I guess. But Mark and Nolan and Alan coming back to Earth to recruit Mark to recruit Mark. And also, that's one of my favorite things about this part in the comics was like Mark, not just Mark seeing his dad again, but obviously he's kind of low-key repaired some stuff with his dad, even though they still have some resentment and some issues. But also, but most importantly, how Debbie sees this is the first time Debbie's gonna see Nolan again after, he called her fucking Fido. He freaking called her Lassie.
That's gonna be such a difficult thing to do because it was so different in the show than it was in the comic, and that's gonna make whether or not they even reconcile in the show way different.
Again, shout out to Maddie, because that was one of the things that Maddie and Damone, more so Maddie didn't like, was that she ended up going back to Nolan fairly quickly in the comic. Yeah,
and I feel like if you do a little more fleshed out reconciliation, it would just be more interesting and more faithful to the characters.
Well, yeah, man, and then. Yeah, so I don't want to really go into details. Yeah, the Viltrumite weaknesses being introduced is gonna be great, but obviously, most importantly, this can I always think the stuff after Invincible War is the grace period, and pretty much we get 2 volumes, and then we get introduced. We get 2 volumes. Do we get to the second biggest event of the series? I mean, it's in story context, it's the biggest event. It's one of the biggest events in the series, but I personally like the Invincible War just more. But we get it's going to be a lead up to the Viltrumite War, which is going to be crazy as fuck. Which again is going to be the culmination of this arc so far, the past 3 seasons of Alan and the Coalition of Planets and Thetis and Nolan being introduced, being an asset, and then he's going to be recruiting, both of his sons to join him, and then it's going to be a head-on battle between the Coalition forces is what with the Viltrumites, and again, great event. It's such a good event. It's just crazy to think that it's literally Invincible War, a volume or 2, and then the Viltrumite War happens, and it's crazy as fuck. But obviously, the big Kahuna of the Viltrumite War, I consider him pretty much the Thanos of the Invincible War universe. Is none other than our boy THRAGG being introduced, and we're not really gonna go into who THRAGG is. I mean, y'all will know when the show drops. But who do you have any ideas of who? Because Kirkman did say in his recent post that THRAGG has been cast. You have any ideas of who it's gonna be? Who's gonna be voicing THRAGG?
I hope.
Yeah, I've never actually thought about it, to be honest with you. Who I want to voice.
It's gonna be like Norman Reedus or something like that. It's gonna be another Walking Dead cast member.
It would be crazy if it was. if it was fucking John Bernthal. Nuts if it was John Bernthal. I liked it.
John Bernthal coming on screen. Let me tell you something, Red. You gotta fuck as many of these bug people as possible. That's how you get an army, Red.
Yeah, like, I don't know who they. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Walking Dead cast member. What if it's Andrew Lincoln? Know what I mean?
I don't know. I would hope it would be Ryan Hurst, if any of the Walking Dead cast members, because I think he was great as Thor in the God of War games. Yeah. And I think that he would do a really good THRAGG.
I got you. Yeah, Ryan Hurst. Oh, yeah, this dude. Yeah. I know exactly. Yeah, this guy. But yeah, I mean, that'd be cool. Well, so he would be your preferred. I mean, Andrew Lincoln would be cool just because, like, I want to see him do something different. Because, again, he's just been typecast as Rick Grimes for years. So, like, I just want to see him do something different. Something more regal, imperialistic type of role. That'd be really cool. Who would be a non-Walking Dead cast member? Like, someone, like, be like big. Because, again, they got Big Hersh Ali to be in this thing and a bunch of other great actors. So, what are some what is a big time actor you want to play THRAGG? Josh Brolin. Just recycle Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin, I feel like would be like such a choice. I think if I were to pick from like big names only, I think it would be funny to get The Rock.
No.
I think it'd be funny to get The Rock to fucking play THRAGG.
I mean, I could kind of hear it.
It would be hilarious.
Like, he would just do what he did in Black Adam, which is like more direction, like more fun.
Which is gonna be so silly.
He's like, the hierarchy of the Invincible universe is about to change.
Yeah, he comes in the hierarchy. We're getting a THRAGG solo movie where he's actually a good guy.
Oh my lord, that'd be crazy.
No, you don't understand. I was trying to colonize these planets to save them.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
I'm like I'm looking up fan castings right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I would say Ryan Hurst. I would say Josh Brolin if you want a big name, or like Steve Blum would be cool.
Steve Blum would be dope. Nolan North. Any of the regular voice actors.
Ron Perlman probably would do good.
Yeah, I'm seeing on Reddit.
No. Is that on there too? Am I just
Someone said Ron Perlman. Someone said Bryan Cranston. Someone said Christopher Judge. Christopher Judge would be great. I think.
Yeah.
What's his name? Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Oh, David Morrissey. He was the governor, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool. Michael Shannon. He just plays Zod. That'd be crazy. Oh man, Michael Ironside would have been dope, but he passed away, right? Rip to Michael Ironside. Someone said John Bernthal. Someone said James Spader. That'd be interesting.
No, Michael Ironside's still alive. It was.
He's still alive. Who am I thinking of?
Michael Ironside was.
No, I'm thinking of James McCaffrey. My fault.
Yeah.
My fault.
James McCaffrey probably could have done good too. Max Payne is THRAGG.
That'd been sick. Someone said underrated choice for me, Sam Witwer.
Sam Witwer? Oh yeah, dude. If they want to make him like, that would be cool. That would be good.
I don't know. I'm just so used to him just screaming Kenobi at the top of his lungs.
But I think he could do a good THRAGG. I think he could definitely pull off a good THRAGG.
All right.
I would put down my vote for Sam Witwer. I would put down my vote for him.
Okay, Sam Witwer. That's a good choice. Rami Malek.
Oh God, that'd be terrible.
Ralph Ineson. Let's see. I don't know. Clancy Brown.
They're all just picking people with deep voices, and THRAGG doesn't necessarily have to have a deep voice. He just has to be menacing. And I think Sam Witwer and I think Ryan Hurst can rip menacing. And same with Steve Blum.
What about Jensen Ackles?
I could see that. I just
could
don't
see that
know if
too.
that would be as effective as I'd hope it would be.
Someone said James Earl Jones. I'm crying.
Oh Jesus! Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
he's
But
dead.
yeah. Someone said Ethan Hawke. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities with THRAGG, man.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke would totally love to do a voice acting for a fucking comic book cartoon.
But yeah, people, this moral of the story is THRAGG is coming, and we're not gonna explain who THRAGG is, but like he's coming, and that's all that matters.
Brett, he does a lot of coming.
He does a lot of. Yeah, THRAGG is coming, unlike Bendis. You know what I mean?
But Kirby did come already. Bendis didn't.
Yep. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much it with the theory section.
Yep.
So yeah, Seamus. So what's your final verdict? Final thoughts? Final verdict? What would you give Invincible season 3 out of 10?
I give it like an 8.5, maybe a 9 out of 10. I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of fun with it. I had a good time with it. Some issues, not as good as some of the other seasons, but it's still really good.
Yeah, man, this is definitely a 9 for me. Again, this is my favorite part of this. This is one of my favorite eras of the comic. They did the Invincible War phenomenally. They did the Conquest stuff phenomenally. Like it's again the morality. This is a very integral part of like Mark maturing as a person and as a hero. Is just him realizing that everything's black and white. There's shades of gray in between, and then sometimes and him just recognizing his darker side. I think is great. Again, the Oliver stuff, everything about like this season, even we didn't mention it a lot, but Debbie, even though she didn't really have a whole lot to do, it was mostly just like stuff with Paul, her dealing with now Oliver being a superhero and risking his life at his age. But yeah, I mean, it's all this stuff was really good. It was a lot of fun, and again, it's some of them. It's great. It's great. Again, it was nice to just hear from watching and also hear people talk about how fucking good Invincible is as a series. It's great, and it made me nostalgic. Me want to go back and read the comic again for like the third time now. But yeah, man, it's good stuff. So overall, 9 across the board. This gets the they need to make like an animation or something like this. Gets like the Indie Corner stamp of approval. You have to watch this. Like if you have to watch this. If you're sub to us, you have to watch it or read it. You have to watch it. Like if you're a sub to the Indie Corner, hell, even the Students of Shield, even though it's gone to shit now at this point, you have to be an Invincible fan. You have to be. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. But yeah, I mean any more thoughts before we close it out?
I fucking love Invincible.
Also, I really hope to I wonder if Robert Kirkman has plans to adapt any more of his other Skybound properties as animated series.
Maybe. I mean, perhaps. We don't know. Firepower
would be great. Just saying, Robert Kirkman. We know you're watching this, bro. Do a Firepower series. But yeah, people. So that's pretty much it. So thanks to everybody who are watching this or will watch this. We appreciate the support. Click, please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And click the notification bell so you know when we drop new content. As always, because we put a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears into what we do. So we appreciate the love, we appreciate the support. Just some quick plugs, real quick. Just some quick little plugs. Please check out our After Dark we did over the weekend, talking Daredevil Born Again and Captain America Brave New World, which got a pretty good amount of views, which we really appreciate. We know we got to see us rant about Cap 4 and us glaze Daredevil Born Again heavy. Check out the Excellence Black History Month special that dropped that me and Damone did. Check out our interview with Alex Cormack that we did, the interview and little clip that we did that was a lot of fun. Check out Deadly Class that just ended. Check out the rest of the New After Dark. Check out Transformer. Check out the reactions. Check out the clips. Again, we're trying to pump out some more content in 2025. Definitely more interviews. And I want to put in some more and talk about more books, of course. Because again, last year wasn't as we didn't do as much in terms of output. But again, we're trying to do more in terms of our schedules and all that. But again, we appreciate the support. We love y'all. Again, what are your thoughts on Invincible Season 3? Leave a comment down below. Leave us what you thought, what you liked, what you didn't like. What's your favorite moment? What was the moment you hated? You're looking forward to what are your thoughts on Season 3, Season 4 going forward? Any theories? Leave it in the comments down below. And as always, people, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And we'll catch y'all later. All right. Peace.
Peace.